Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Blood, and Said. And today you will see that Adam will be fan manning out to Laurel Hightower. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. And I am a walking ball of anxiety at all times. So expect me to be doing similar.
Well, good. Well, it is a pleasure. I know that Adam's like a super fan, but I have read
The Day
The Day of the Door.
Yep.
And the reason that one started out for us is I was like, look, pick me out some of these horror authors that, you think that you want me to read and that I would never pick up, like look too intense and crazy. And he gave me your book because of the imagery on the front, which is, I
Right.
understand there's a good story behind that too, but it was amazing. Like I cranked through that.
Yeah.
Like it was so good. So we want to get into some more about that.
Thank you.
And then obviously the new book that you are putting out too. But we always like to start with, what is your experience with horror? Have you always been a horror lover yourself, writer, interested? If you can take us down memory lane a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, as far back as I can remember, I have been always leaned towards the spooky stuff, the spooky side of things. I liked like Halloween decor. I was always into like the Halloween specials, the Halloween episodes of all my favorite
Yes.
shows. Cause I'm an 80s baby,
Mhm.
82. So I was very much of that era, where you had to just watch whatever the hell was on cable.
Right.
And that was just like pure joy for me, was when they would start playing all the like seasonal episodes like that time of year. And I don't like I was a kid who was like, I was a very timid kid and I was terrified of like roller coasters and stuff like that, but I
Yeah.
do not remember being ever afraid of, I mean, I was like afraid of ghosts, but like in like a really like good way, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it's like, ooh,
Like a
ghosts. I
healthy
like being
respect.
scared. Yeah, and like a sweet ghost, this is horrifying sort of thing. But I don't ever remember being worried about reading anything that would scare me or watching anything that would scare me particularly, which of course, like most of us, watched and read things way too early. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a lifelong affair. That's all.
Awesome. Yep. Since you and I and Adam are all about the same age, walk me through. Did you watch the Nickelodeon where they're, around
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
yeah, and they
Like
like
God,
open
yes.
that
Oh yeah.
packet of like whatever it is and he like sprinkles it on the fire and it lights up. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what a feeling that evoked at that time. Like when you're saying like you loved all, I mean, it was just this special feeling. I felt like.
Yes, you're and that's such a good example of it because I feel like it perfectly encapsulates that like the preparation of it, like the anticipation. I was talking to my boyfriend last night about holidays and it was one of the, we both love Halloween. We were talking about how like it's like we love the holiday, but the build up to it, the watching the movies,
Yeah.
the decor, the looking at the lights and the animated decorations that people have in their yards and stuff. And I feel like the Are You Afraid of the Dark, that intro it like personifies that.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the settling into this campfire with the ritual of the specific incantation and throwing the whatever flamey salt stuff he throws on there. And you've got the you're with people, but everyone's kind of like it enhances the fear because other people are reacting to it and stuff. And you've got the night at your back. It's that perfect. I love that show. And I
Yeah.
rewatched a couple of years ago for a podcast a good friend of mine does. It's called So Do We Still Like This? And he does like pop culture nostalgia sort of things. And so
Uh-huh.
he brought me and like I rewatched and I was like, holy shit, this holds up. Like
That's
the like
awesome.
just the intro theme and credits and everything. I was like, this goes really hard for the era, Like
Yeah.
I was like,
There's some
yeah, I
images
dig
still, like
this.
the jester and the little boy that's
Hmm.
outside the window. I'm like, if someone told
Yeah.
me this was like an adult horror film, I would believe it.
It
Like it's
it
still
it
scary.
it definitely felt like they were quality stories every week. There was never that like, "Oh, I wish that, that was okay. You know,
Yeah. Do you all have favorites? Do you remember a favorite?
I mean, it was definitely what is it? When the boy's cold outside the ghost.
I know, and
Yeah.
that had Melissa Joan Hart in it.
Yes.
I remember
Yeah.
that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just remember that, and then that I don't even remember what the episode was about, but the clown jester, like his face is just seared into my memory.
Yeah.
My favorite episode of it is when I got to act it out in real life this summer,
Oh my god.
like in not a good way. Like Adam
What?
just kind of ignored it. So this is like our 8th summer in the house that we've been in. But when we bought the house from the previous owners, they had all this firewood stacked up against the shed. And they're like, do you want us to just leave it for you? We're like, yeah. Well, we've never had enough like fires to ever, like campfires or whatever to ever like even make a dent to how much wood they left. So this summer we were doing like some projects and we were relocating the wood to a different part of the property so that we could actually have these outside fires work
Mhm.
conveniently, whatever. And I'm paying my neighbor to do this. And I get home and he's like, hey, I found this in the wood pile. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like this wooden box that has stuff all in it. And you open it up and it's a bag of whatever. And I'm like, what kind of witchcrafty shit is that? Like, that's immediately where my
Yeah.
suspicious mind goes. And then
Did you sprinkle it on the fire to
well,
see if
hold on
it
now. Like, so then I started thinking, like, oh my gosh, maybe this is an animal. Maybe like this was like a
pet?
cremated
Ooh.
pet or something. But like, why did they just leave their pet out here in between it, whatever? But then no, I did. I cleansed it with fire while we were burning those things. And I like said a little,
Incantation
please
or something?
understand that like we don't know who you are or what you are, but leave us alone. And yeah, I still don't know what it is. But it felt like I was living out my dreams of that, of just burning something. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You had your own midnight society there for a
Pretty
second.
much, but I still don't know where that came from. So I don't know what it is, but it was like in a sack that you could sprinkle it all out. I did not. I just closed the whole box.
Yeah, that was definitely the
Yeah.
remains of something.
Yeah, I concur on how to handle that. It is kind of I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and derail it already.
Yes.
But it's interesting with those things, like when you think about how to like handle them. I was gifted when I moved into my house a few months ago. One of my son's friends, their family was moving to New Zealand. Lucky bastards,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so they were gifting it was great timing for me, because although I missed them, but they were giving, I bought a bunch of stuff off of them for like great prices, because they're like, well, we got to get rid of everything. I'm like, hey, I've got a new, I got to stock a new house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they gifted me was a little like witch's bottle that someone had made for them. The husband is like he's like an IT guy and he's like wicked talented. I think it's one of those like barter things where like he did something for her and she was like, well, I can't really pay you, but I made this like witch's bottle for you that's supposed to be like for luck and all
Whoa.
this kind of stuff. So they were like, look, we don't want to like throw this away. We don't feel like we can travel with it. We don't even know what's in here. They're like, do you want it? And I'm like, yes, yeah, because I totally get where they're coming from. You're like, well, I'm not gonna just like throw this in the Herbie,
Oh,
like I
no.
want to know where it's going.
Yeah.
But then like I get to my house and they told me they're like, you're supposed to put it in like the leftmost back corner of your house. And I'm so fucking like pedantic and detail oriented. I have an Instagram friend who's a witch, and I was like, okay, girl, like, do I put it in the cabinet because that's the leftmost? But is that
Yeah.
disrespectful? Like I was like really like
Yeah. You gotta
really
really think about it.
stressing.
Which door is considered the front that you're counting as left or right? Like, I would get really stressed out about that.
Yes, very.
I was I was very stressed out. She was very sweet though. She was like, no, she was like, I think I would do this, and this. She's like, but understand that intent has a lot to do with it. But it is like, and I'll just do one more just because it was so weird. My brother lived in a house. And I went down to it's like this older house. I think it was built in like the early 1900s or late 1800s. And I got into the basement and it had this cool basement. And there's this one unfinished patch that is like the size of a grave. I'm like, dude. He's like,
Whoa.
I know. And there is a fucking head, like a
Whoa.
statue head. I think it was like like the like Siddhartha type version of Buddha,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and I was like, is there a whole statue? He's like, I don't know. I'm like,
What?
he's like, we don't touch the head. I'm like, okay. You know what? Fair. And he's nowhere near as superstitious as me, but he was like, I just think it's wise to not touch that.
Did he buy this house or is it a rental?
No, he bought it.
And when
He
he
bought
tore
it.
it through, he saw that and he's like, yep, this is the one. I'm like,
Yeah,
Look,
I
realtors
mean,
deal with a
that's
lot of shit. Okay.
yeah. It's like the housing market is just
yeah, it's the
Yeah,
right,
you got to
the
take
right
what you got to take.
schools,
you
That,
do.
I mean, depending on when your friend bought it, I mean, they were like, I was talking to a couple of like realtor clients and they're like, people are just following us, driving around, to say
All I
before
can
we can
think
even
about
put the
is,
sign up that they're like, we'll buy it sight unseen. So maybe he bought a head
yeah.
with the house.
Well, all I think about is the September House. Have you read that?
I love that book.
Well,
No, I
oh,
haven't.
okay. So it's a similar thing where it's like, it's this horribly haunted house and all this like stuff is going on, but she's like,
But it is
nope,
stunning.
it's a really great house. I really can't, I'm not moving. Like, I'm just going to deal with
I
all these things that happen. Like in September, the house starts bleeding every year. And
Yes.
like, so she's just like, just start wiping it down. It's all good. It's like,
I
Yeah.
can see myself doing
And
that
she's just
though.
like, her husband's like, we need to move. And she's like, no. It's actually
It's a great book.
I
Yeah.
would say it's like a fun ride and a lot of comedy, but like at the same time, touches on some good stuff. Uh, yeah,
That sounds perfect. That sounds like very seasonal.
it is. I read it intentionally in September,
Uh-huh.
and I really don't know anybody that has given it less than like a 5. Like it's just
It's yeah, it's so good, and I think the author is a neuroscientist or a psychologist, and so she brings a lot of really interesting things about,
Oh, I
that kind of
love
stuff in with
that.
it.
a lot of beloved ghosts too that will
Yeah.
will stand out to you, so you'll enjoy that.
Mhm.
But yeah, for the real life witch and having a house like that, I mean, I feel like just being respectful to all those things is
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
a cool way to not get yourself cursed or
Yeah.
whatever, you know?
Well, it's like you said, it's a lot of it's intent, right? That
Yeah.
the way that you
Yeah.
approach it with respect and everything. So, when I recommended The Day of the Door for Rebecca to read, I think I've said this to you before. I have a very similar mother to the character in that book.
Yeah, I was like,
So
no
it
shit. Was
was,
she in your
yeah,
head?
it was definitely one of those moments of feeling like extremely seen because she even speaks like we're from Tennessee, so border Kentucky. That's where you're at, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's like she just certain things that she says, I'm just like, yep, that's exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've had that conversation before. That
Yeah.
definitely. Hopefully, that wasn't based on as much personal experience as I had.
I will only say that I have reason to know how narcissists act.
It sounds like a Patreon conversation. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
no,
You
like,
want access to Adam's and Laurel's private
family traumas.
traumas.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'll just bring my therapy notes and just
Yeah.
throw them down
Well, that's what
and,
I you'll
just
see, in another episode, I forget who it was that we were talking to, and we were a lot of it's come up that horror a lot of people have used horror as catharsis, as therapy, as, all this kind of stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, I probably owe Laurel Hightower a pretty big bill for all
Yes.
the the trauma that she healed in me with that book."
That is and it's one of those things that's like, that has been such an interesting one because of the number of people who have connected with it on that level. And it's one of those things that like simultaneously breaks my heart because I don't ever want anyone to
Sure.
experience that, you know? I
Yes.
but it's also one of these things that like it's part of what I enjoy the most about writing
Mm.
is those connections that you make, where people are just like, I felt seen by this and it made me feel less alone. And it's like the 100% the most rewarding part about writing. So it's one of these things that like I've done this long enough. I have a pretty thick skin about reviews. I know myself to be like, if I'm in a certain type of mood, I'm like, no, do not go skim Goodreads, like
Mhm.
like you don't need to get your feelings hurt right now, but other times I'm just sort of like interested to see how people are interacting with it, and then I leave it alone because I firmly believe that like it's a reviewer and reader space, so I never like interact or anything. I check out my reviews sometimes, and sometimes like people be like, "No one would ever act this way. This is ridiculous," and I should be like, "Please give me a hug. I'm so happy."
Yeah.
I am so
Yes.
happy that this is so far outside the realm of your experience that you can't even fathom it happening. Like, I have joy for this person, genuine.
Yeah. It's like you've won the lottery, ma'am.
I know.
Sir.
Like, I'm so happy.
It's like a mixture though, because it's like I am definitely happy for you, but you probably I don't know, it seems like the people that haven't been through some sort of traumas are the ones that usually don't have as much empathy or like, you know, that kind of stuff. Because it's like, it definitely does something to you that you kind of look at the world differently and try to treat people a little bit differently. If you read something like that and you're like, this could never happen, I'm like, you're probably very neurotypical.
I like how you say that, like, a little bit scathingly.
Yes.
Neurotypical.
Oh,
Well,
it is.
you talked about the sort of like the Venn diagram of neurotypical and right wing MAGA, and
That's
like,
my theory,
yeah,
Laura. Like if I get to go, like I'm looking where I'm going for grad school now and what I want to go, but like
Exciting.
yeah, I really feel like I my thought theory is that more Democrats or liberals are neurodivergent
That is
and that's
interesting.
why when these policies and things like that are set, it's for neurotypicals, they don't have the same EQ or the depth of empathy or like highly sensitive people that like a neurotypical does. And so it's like they just don't get how these rights are being taken away or, even like friendships that have been lost right now after, this election came through again. And it's like, I think more people finally were like, I draw the line. Like you
mhm,
are, I can only speak for the comments I've heard, like personally here and people I know that are conservative that have lost their friends now because they're like, no, it's not a matter of politics. This is about a matter of morality and, what you feel like is decent and basic human rights and choices. And,
Yes.
I just think they're like, well, why can't we have a political difference? It's like so in their brain
Mhm.
versus in their body.
'Cause it's not a political difference anymore, it's a
Well,
moral
Yeah.
difference, yeah.
it's just cruelty to,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
suffering for other people. And for some reason that's not translating. And I do think that it has a big deal to do with like being an HSP, highly sensitive person, or just, able to just, I mean, I got to work on setting up a shield so that I don't soak in as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it does, I mean, it's one of those things I don't think I would want to be different on
Mhm.
that front. Like I value my empathy, but it is like it can be incredibly overwhelming and it
Absolutely.
makes what we're going through as a country and as a world like that much more painful.
Hmm.
That's interesting though. If you end up studying that, I would be very interested to know what your results are on it.
Yay! I
Because
appreciate
again,
that.
like
I
we're all the same
really,
like generation. So it's like, like
Yeah.
I feel like that stuff wasn't diagnosed as much when we were
right.
Mhm.
kids.
Well, now that we've started it, I'm going to touch on it a little bit more here. But here's my thought too: is there is anywhere from, I guess, 7 to 8 generations of trauma and whatnot that lives in your body from people that you've never met or wouldn't have known, right? Family lineage coming down. And so some of our choices and actions, it's like, is it even shaped by us entirely or by ancestral? And like the concepts of, if you look at science, it's talking about epidemiology and how those things reside in our body. But if you look at like something like the Bible, it talks about the sins of the father that are just carried down generation
Hmm.
through generation and breaking generational curses and things like that. So there's all these things that reside. So I wonder too of how much of like, who were these ancestors for you? How much are they playing a part in what you've lived and what you've done? And then, a lot of the fact that, especially in this area, and I'm sure it's very common for many places around the United States, that families just kind of hunker down and, those same kind of mindsets and just kind of stay in that soil, stay in the community, in that town and foster some of these beliefs. And so I don't know that it is simple as just neurodivergent, neurotypical. I feel like there's a whole like amalgamation that's like flowing in here. But I certainly feel like at the end of the day, like your family, when you're relating to genes, not the Sydney Sweeney ad, but like
Oh god.
that, no, but like that's exactly what I mean, it's like coded language there.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
your genes of what is still playing upon your active choices right now, how much do you or don't you think that they are? So yeah, there's a lot. I'd have to probably refine it quite a bit, but I am really interested in it because I said on another episode that, it was dark at night and a police officer had someone pulled over and the lights and the sound. I was just like, oh my God, let me get past this. Like I felt like a migraine just coming on, just like sick because that's too much stimulation for me. And,
Yeah.
but thank goodness that there are people that are neurotypical that doesn't bother them at all, because it takes differences like this to, checks and balances, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, about with respect to the advancements in diagnosis.
Mhm.
Because it's one of those things like, I've been asked before on a few occasions whether I thought I might be autistic or have some of those characteristics. And I don't know. And I'm also hesitant because I feel like in some ways it's like, I don't want to be those people like, oh, I'm totally autistic and not,
Yeah,
not take into account everything that goes with that.
right.
So I don't ever feel comfortable like, but I know that some people don't like it. I like the term neurospicy because to me, I
Yeah.
can be like, yeah, I don't think that my brain works quite in their neurotypical sense, but I don't
Yeah,
want to claim a diagnosis that I don't have.
right.
And it's one of those things that's like over time it's kind of, my brother is actually he's a PA and he's in neuroscience. And he asked me, he's like, well, why does it matter? Genuinely wanting to know, not in
Yeah.
a dismissive way. And I was like, well, it's cool because it helps me understand how I see the world.
Hmm.
And it helps me get why a lot of things that made me feel very othered,
Right.
very much like I wasn't part of society when I was much younger. It has a lot to do with how I operate and recognizing that there are a lot of people that do in the same way. I tend to get along very well with people who are not neurotypical
Mhm.
because a lot of like the sort of things like this straightforwardness is such a relief to me.
Yeah.
I know I might be making generalizations there that I don't intend to do. My experience has been that a lot of people who are neurodivergent tend to be more just straightforward. And that works so well for me because I remember like very clearly being like just baffled by like small talk and
Oh,
little idioms that I was like, what? Because I was very literal,
right.
and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Okay, let's talk about my favorite one that honest to God stumped me. So I'm going to throw it out to you and we'll see if you even know it. Now, like I had read it a few years ago and I got the answer and then I forgot it again. And I still got stumped by it again. So the bumper sticker that says honk if you like pizza. And I'm like, yeah, I do like pizza. And they're like, that's not what it means. And I'm like, what the hell else could it
What does
mean?
it mean?
It means if they're badly driving and people are honking at them, the driver's going to pretend it's because they have the sticker that says honk if you like pizza. And I'm like, I was supposed to infer all of that? I
Oh,
mean,
that
I had to like troll the comments to understand because I thought it was like, I would have been honking, like, yeah, I like pizza.
no, no, I'm sorry, I reject it. I don't, there's insufficient explanation in there. No, no,
I'm so
no,
serious.
Why
no, I
specifically
don't.
pizza too? What it could, a honk if you like can't, it could be anything, I guess is the
It's
idea.
just anything. It's just kind of like they know that they're going to be a shit driver. So it's funny. It's like,
Oh
I'm just
my
going to
god,
pretend
no.
No, well,
yeah.
first of
So
all, just drive better.
yes,
How
I
about that?
know. Look,
It's just a thought.
I mean, I just sat there and I'm like, what else could this possibly mean? Like, why do I feel so dumb? I can't even
Yeah.
think about what else. Yeah. So yeah.
I saw and of course, like I am chronically online, so I communicate 90% through memes and
Yes, which I
Which
reels.
is
love. You know
wonderful.
that I
And
live
yeah.
for your memes on your stories.
Well, and then it's like, but then I'm in real life and I'm just quoting memes and people are like looking at me. I'm like, if you just followed me on Instagram, we wouldn't have this
Yeah,
problem.
come
But
on.
Come on now. Yes. It's its own language though. Seriously. That's another thing you could probably major in.
I think so. And it's so like, I don't know, it just like makes so much sense on it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I saw something where they were talking about like, it's like, they talk about how when you were a kid, people would be like, oh my God, you're so gullible. And
Oh,
like, you would feel like ashamed for it. Cause I was super gullible. Like,
me
you get me with
too.
like anything. And then they're like, but as an adult, I'm looking back like, uh huh. So wait a sec. I'm the loser because you were specifically lying to me or trying to trick me
Right.
and I believed you, but that somehow is a reflection on me. And
Right.
like, I was that emoji of the exploding brain. I was like, yes, actually, that was dick behavior. Like, why
You
were
know
you
what?
why were you trying to trick me?
That was dick behavior. Yeah. These reflections are good. It's funny because I was just about to ask you a question about emoji. So like, I feel like you teed me up here.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know if ever like you guys like someone will say something and like I'll like because I don't understand the concept of small talk or even how to respond like in certain ways that sometimes like an emoji is just so safe because I
Yes.
don't have to
Yeah.
say too much. I don't have to say too little.
Yeah,
Like
we should print out emojis just to hold up on a stick
I
and
could just do
Oh
sell.
my
like two
God,
or
I
three
know.
things and I'm like, okay, this is good. It saved me from like embarrassing myself, saying the wrong like I'm gonna overthink it. So I'm just really grateful
Oh
for them
God,
now.
yes. Well, and the overthinking thing, like with some of the relationships that I treasure the most are my fellow overthinkers where we all know we're overthinkers. So like I have a very dear friend I've had since we were 14. And even before we knew all these terms and like started like exploring them, like we would be the ones who would be like text each other after some hangout and be like, okay, so here's the thing. I feel like when I said that one thing that I didn't mean it this way, but I'm afraid you took it this way. And then you
No.
have this expression on your face. And I felt terrible. And like, we'll be like, oh my God, girl, I so didn't feel that way that I so
Yes.
appreciate, like that, just that constant back and forth. And I love it. It's
You're a
such a
safe
relief.
space. And
Yeah.
that's the type of friendships that you need because I often, you after you leave, you're like, why the hell did I say that?
I know.
Like, oh God. Yeah. But like if they're good friends and then Haley Piper was on the show and she was saying
Haley
like,
Newell.
oh my God, who's Haley Piper?
Haley Piper is
Oh
also
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I
Why do
love
I know?
Haley
I was
Piper.
like, wait, I had to get there and remember it keeps out. Haley Newland was on the show and she was saying like she just doesn't want to censor herself anymore. Like
Mhm.
she's gonna show up
Good for
as
her. I love Haley Newland also, by the way. Sorry,
Yes.
didn't mean to interrupt,
yeah.
but
And
I
I'm
adore
just
her.
like the older I get and just more of like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And I have a brother, middle brother that, great guy, great family man, whatever. He's got to be neurotypical and I'm neurodivergent.
Like
Like,
as neurotypical a typical can
yeah.
be.
And they always have these birthday parties for their kids and everybody sits outside and they invite a bunch of people. And I would just be like, I kept thinking like, oh, is it because like, I work full time and it eats up my Saturday or my Sunday. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's what it is. And it was just like, finally I realized, I'm like, it is nothing but small talk
Mm.
for like 2
Oh,
hours
that's
straight. It was
exhausting.
exhausting and
Uh,
excruciating. And I felt like I had to minimize it. And everyone else is having a wonderful
yeah,
time.
they'll just sit there. Yeah, I got new windows.
Yes.
Yep, they're good windows.
Yes. And I'm just
Like,
and you know what? I'm glad. Like when you're like, give me a hug. Like, I'm glad
yeah,
this
I
works for
completely
you.
do not, it used to be it would like piss me off but now I look at it and I'm like, you know what? It's not hurting anybody. You guys are enjoying yourself. It's just not for me.
I just feel like I feel like I literally can't fit.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
Yes.
this is something
Yeah.
too big, too small. I don't know what, but it's like it's not the right shape for me. And
Yeah.
and I've tried many times, and now I just kind of like, I hope you guys have a great party. It's just,
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, to bring it back to horror, it's like so many writers, influencers, podcasters, all these people that we've had on that just have loved horror, have felt that big O other. Brian McCauley was talking about it
Yes.
specifically, that it's just like nothing gets othered like horror does. And I think that people that kind of feel these ways, innately, the sort of neurospicy, whatever you want to call it, we gravitate towards it because like I think horror is the genre that doesn't have small talk, right? It like gets to the heart of like the
Right.
real things that are
Oh, that's
bothering us and
brilliant. Yeah.
exploring those things. And it just like it's such a great genre, when you already feel that way.
I love that. Yes, I think that's accurate because yeah, you're right. It is like it's the small talk and it's everything that goes along with it, like that, that again, like when you don't know to do it. I constantly described it and I did even at that age, like I felt like an alien who had like beamed down and was trying to study humans to see how they
Yeah.
humaned. And so like I remember like fucking things up. Like I felt like Third Rock from the Sun, where I was like, here is an
Yeah.
activity that a human does. I misunderstood the point of it and I just look like an idiot,
Yes.
And I still do it, but it's more like I'm old enough now that I will be like, I will screw something up and I'll be like, I'm sorry. I humaned that inappropriately, you know.
Well, that's what, going back to what Haley said, she said, I just do what it is and it alienates some people and it makes people feel weird. But the ones that it doesn't, I've found my people. It's like that they're like, I know what you mean by that, where it's like, hey, how are you doing today? It's like, why do popcorn kernels pop that way? Instead
I was
of,
gonna say,
it's just like,
I don't know how to like, and that makes me think of this. And then I go into one of my favorite, specific topics or, I read this. Like, I just don't know how to be any less, right? I'm always too much.
superficiality just is not interesting. Yeah.
I'm just always too much. Like, and I love there was this statement, it was like, because, when I managed a group of people and whatever, I would always like do everything extra, right? Like I would do their birthdays extra. If I'm going to have a party at the house, I would do something like I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And that
try to make it feel as you
typically
would wanna feel.
includes
Yeah.
being really thought out, this, that, whatever. And, a lot of times I'll get feedback from, I feel like, neurotypical people that'll be like, you're just always extra. Like you're always doing too much. And I had heard it online. It's like, am I extra or are you basic?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel now. And I felt seen. I'm like, no, that's it. Like you're the base level model of the car. I come with all these features, man. Like you get
I've got
to
the blue lights in my
enjoy.
undercarriage.
I'm a massage seat.
That's what I'm saying. If you don't
Like-
want the heated and cooled seat, if you don't want the warm steering wheel, because you like, fine, but this is what I come with.
I told my then husband at one point because I didn't realize that not everyone acts out everything that they say. And I didn't realize that until probably like 2 or 3 years ago because I had gotten to like, God, Laurel, you're loud, and I'm like, "Oh, my bad, and I feel like really embarrassed about it. But then like it's like I didn't have like a lower volume button.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I was being loud, but I think a lot of it is that it's more just like I talk with my hands
Yeah.
and and like I do voices for everything. And I did not realize that not everybody did that. And I remember like I was being like really extra one day or whatever, like telling a story. And my then husband was like, and like in his defense, like we were like kind of a quiet household. So I'm sure I was very disruptive. Like, he was like, it's just like a lot. It's just like a lot. And I was like, yeah, wear a fucking helmet, which was really just sweet of me, right? Like, what a peach to live with. But I was just like,
Oh, no,
I was looking, I was
girl.
like, yeah, I'm not dialing it down. Get a helmet.
Exactly.
No, well,
I
it's
need
like
that on
we were-
some merch right
Also,
now.
It's like we were a quiet household. It's like it's more like you were too quiet. The other person was too quiet. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know
What?
how many people were in this house, but like when we talk about we as a married couple, there's
Yeah,
two. That's
yeah.
50%. Like, you know, you have to give and take. And it's like,
I
well, guess
love
what,
Well,
that.
motherfucker? This is who you married. This is what
Yeah.
I've been like this since you met me. So you
It's a
can't be a
lot.
problem now,
Wear a
asshole.
fucking helmet. Oh
So
my god, yes. I'll
I
tell you,
ended up
our
writing a
household
scene
I
about
am
that.
100% telling my students at some point this year to wear a helmet when I'm teaching, like, without a doubt, because that is fantastic.
I mean, the thing is like our household is always stimming.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
someone's singing,
someone singing
someone's tapping on something, you know, it's like,
always.
so
Like it's just one of those things. And sometimes Adam was kind enough to get me this. You know how you're saying like you learn things, you understand diagnosis, you start to understand yourself and like
Yeah.
yeah, before I was properly medicated, I would literally feel like my brain was gonna like crack in half, like from the overstimulation. And
Oh, yeah.
And now once like thank you Zoloft. It's like a net, that really holds back a lot of it, like a dam, which is great. But every once in a while I still hit that. But in that time frame when I was like getting the right dosage amount, Adam found me this t-shirt and it's like this beautiful pink and it has this like skeleton middle finger on the back and it's like basically kind of like fuck off, I'm overstimulated.
it's like I'm overstimulated. I will hurt your feelings.
Yes, and that is
Yeah.
me. Like when you say what a peach to live with, I've said some really shitty things in overstimulation.
Yeah, it's when you realize that like you are at your capacity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like recognizing what those triggers are. I really love the people who are triggered, by the way,
Yeah.
by the term trigger. Like
Yeah.
trigger, 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 trigger. You know. But it's applicable. Like it makes so much sense. And it also like knowing those helps me to understand, like, I don't know, like I usually can be pretty even keeled, but like when I don't have any decompression period of
Yes.
silence
Yes.
in my own head, then my battery drains pretty quickly and then everyone's going to be very sorry. Like
And you've said it perfectly.
And it's funny because I look at like, you know, we just switched from Apple to Spotify, and I'm looking at like, you know, because Spotify does like sends out music for you to listen to and whatnot. And I just love looking at it because my like daily mix is like these alternative and Tibetan bowls and like white noise. And I'm like, wow, I've got some that's very interesting to see there. So
Well, it's funny that you said that about like the recharge time, Laurel, because I feel like I am working through a diagnosis right now with the doctor. But when Adam and I first met, like when you say like, oh, we're a quiet household, like my household grew up like we didn't have hobbies. Like you
no.
didn't
mm,
you sat and talked
Oh,
or you did housework. Like that was it.
oh.
Like you would watch like, we'd watch like football and like a movie, but it was like for the most part, like it was like there needs to be something being done around the house. Like that's just how it feels in my head. And like I did all kinds of extracurriculars and things, but like in terms of like my own personal hobbies, like after I got done playing with Barbies, like there was nothing, right? And I read books and like a here and a there, but I just felt like when I met Adam, his parents were just like, here, go
go
take
away.
this thing. I'll buy you all this stuff. Just please don't exist. Like go hole up. So he had like
Ah,
mega
I was a
amount.
walking hobby.
Oh my God. And it was so crazy.
Like,
But
what do you mean you don't go to the movie theater 3 times a week? That's not
yeah.
normal?
Yeah. He
It's
was
like,
like, I think it's like important for our marriage that we go to the movies one time a week. I'm like, I don't think that's going to be happening. Like just mechanically for everything. But I have, again, so then I get after 2020, like I get medicated and I'm like, oh my God, I can pay attention during a book now. Oh my God, like I
oh,
can
it's beautiful.
sit in it the whole time. Right. And now I feel like reading, like people are like, how did you read 20 books in the month? And it's like, because it has regulated my nervous system
mhm.
better than any medication or, like it feels like similar to me, like pulling weeds or something like that. But it is such a space. And sometimes I'll even just like put headphones with music on of like really familiar songs that are just like a comfort to me. And I could just speed read along through and it's like, this is my own little cocoon bubble of just safety and feel good. And so I don't go a day now without reading because I
Mhm.
always need to recharge and offset that energy that I just absorbed.
Oh yeah.
Are you like that?
Yeah. Definitely. It has been one of the so this has been kind of a year of major upheaval for me. And so I've tried to give myself a lot of grace. Like it's good stuff. Like I moved, I got a divorce and it was a good divorce. Like, we're co-parenting well and things like that. So all of these changes have been big, but they've been good. But it's also meant like my headspace is just gone. Like I realized, I had several deadlines that I was working through, and God love my publishers. They've been like very understanding, and I met all my deadlines, except for the ones that I haven't hit yet. And I will do those too. But it's been killing me this year because I normally read after I had my son, my reading dropped off quite a bit, but that, is kind of be to be expected as
Or
far as like sleep
Mhm.
loss and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. But I regularly, read like a book a week. Like that was pretty standard for me. I usually exceeded that to an extent. But I have read, I think, 8 books this year and it's killing me.
Yeah.
But it's like recognizing that I'm in sort of that period where it's like, I don't have that recharge period and I'm trying to find it again
Mhm.
and it
Mm.
will get there. But yes, like that's like and again, like my boyfriend is wonderful on like literally every level, but like one of the best things, one of my favorite things about him is that he is like he gets a lot of stuff done, but he's also like very restful and he's very protective of his time to be like, I am gonna read this book for an hour and like no one is gonna make any noise. And I've loved that.
Yeah.
He's just like, my goal is to get you like to where you are like happily just like reading, like, hold up in a
That's
corner. And I'm like,
awesome.
please God, yeah, because I can't stop moving. I think that's the problem is that like where there was so much to be done in such a short period of time,
Right.
there's packing and lawyers
You're
and,
still in
you
like
And
a
it's
know,
still in like adrenaline mode. Go, go,
yeah.
go.
Or
yes,
it's like you've been on
yeah,
a 12-hour road trip and you feel like you're still
Moving
in the
when you go to the
car,
bathroom break.
It's
yes.
like
Yes.
Yes, that's a great that's a great explanation for it, and it is, like so I mean, like, I'm trying, like, it's like I have to make myself, like, I have to be like, "Shh, sit down.
yeah.
It's okay. You can read a book tonight." So, like I did the other I'm reading, and I read a lot for blurbs, which I really love to do, but there are times too when I get overwhelmed
Yeah.
and it's like and I'm not making I don't wanna say I'm not reading what I wanna read because that's not true. I have part of the reason I love reading for blurbs is because I discover writers that I never would have, and I fall in love with things and I expand my reach and my taste and all sorts of things. So I'll never stop doing it,
Yeah.
but it has been a lot this year. And, it's because I have had so little headspace. I've not had time to be like, I just want to read this book just because I want to read it, not because there's a deadline attached to it.
Right.
So I actually, my friends at work created a book club and I joined it and it's been really good because I'm reading out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
Nice.
And like the one that I'm like, I never finish in time for the meetings, but I'm very good at bullshitting, so it works out fine. But the one I'm reading right now is called When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. Have you
Oh,
come across that?
no.
Oh my God. It is the kind of feminist, beautiful, magical realism
Ooh.
book that makes me either want to quit writing or just write better so that I can hit these layers that she gets to. Like I'm not done with it yet and I've heard that the ending is a little bit rushed, I'm not sure. But like it's one that I'm reading, I'm like this could kind of genuinely change the world if enough people read it and took it to heart. Like I fucking love
God.
it. I'm sorry, I do
Okay.
not know how I got on
I
this
love a
tangent.
book
My
wreck
apologies.
like
Yeah. We'll
yeah.
be getting that when we get
When
off of
women
here
were
for sure.
dragons.
Oh, it's beautiful. And you know what? If you wanna read it and then have me back on to just, like, talk about it, I would be
Yeah.
Yes.
happy to.
Absolutely.
Like,
Okay.
because I
Yes,
just
that is a
love it.
plan.
We'll have a regular Laurel Hightower book club section
No,
of the show.
but here's the thing though, if you're this in tune with things and like when you say I've read 8 books for the year, I'm like, I'm sad for you. And I know you're doing a lot. And look, like good for you, like for surviving and getting everything to where you need to go. But like if you can get back into the swing and you're finding things that recharge you and re-nourish you, like, yeah, hell yeah, we'll read this book and we can
Yeah.
have you back on and
Mhm.
talk about it because that's all part of that getting you back to that level of just vibrating at that frequency that feels the best for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's
recharging.
just little yes, yeah, and it is odd how you get into a habit of not even being able to do it anymore. I have not been able to nap in, like, 20 years. I used to love to
Oh,
Oh
nap,
my
wow.
but
gosh.
I just couldn't
Yeah.
do it. My boyfriend is just a champion napper. That man
What is
will
Adam?
face
He
he will
needs
be
a nap a
like,
day.
I never
"Oh,
was,
yeah?"
like, for a long time, but, like, I think, pretty much since COVID, and
Yes.
since, like, becoming a teacher, it's just like, you know what? It's like, I'm gonna take that time, and we kinda looked up some stuff about, like, the evolution of sleeping habits and things like that, and, like, the idea of sleeping for 8 hours is very similar to the idea that you're supposed to work for 8 hours, that it's like an
Mm,
industrial sort of creation.
yeah.
Really, like, we work better sleeping for a period and then waking and doing stuff and sleeping and waking and doing stuff. And I feel like my body, like, especially during the summer when when I'm not at school, that it just goes into that rhythm and I just feel like I work better that way.
Oh, definitely, and I miss it because that's how I used to operate when I was much younger,
Yeah.
and it was so funny because we're long distance at the moment, and, he'd been talking about it. He's like, "I hope I can get to, to the point where you can nap some because
Mhm.
he can just be like, "I'm tired, just done,"
Yep.
out,
Is that I'm
and
not there
I
right now.
it was like, I think the 2nd day that he was here, I was out. Like,
Oh,
I
that's good.
Oh,
That's
literally
must
talk
feel
about
so
like
safe.
how
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
that's like makes me do the heart emoji with my
Yeah.
hands to
I know.
That's when you're on the same frequency as somebody right
that's
there, that's for
it.
sure,
Like
like, they give you
healing,
that,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, Adam, you know what was also funny was our first exchange student from Spain.
Mhm.
I mean, they're up till like 2, 3 in the morning all the
Yeah.
time. Like the way that I'm not talking about like the students, I'm saying like the mom, the
Yeah.
town, like the cities,
Like,
like
they would go to dinner at midnight, like, that was just normal.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I have all these pictures of Gabby just falling asleep. Like if
Yeah.
she can crank out 5 minutes for a power nap, and her mom was a doctor, and she'd be like, they kind of just taught like whenever you can grab a couple of minutes of
Yeah.
Z's, like, and I'm like,
And they still even, like, their schooling, they would go from, like, 8 to 11, they'd go home for 3 hours, come back for, a couple more hours in school, and I'm just like, "What a way to live that, like, actually fits
I
a
know.
human
well,
experience."
and then
Like,
our second one, Ariadna, she's from Madrid. And so she would be up for like, I don't know, like,
2 days straight
almost,
almost,
it felt
yeah.
like, yes. And then we wouldn't see her for like, she'd come home at
18
like three
hours, she'd
o'clock, and
sleep,
then I
yeah.
wouldn't see her till 6 o'clock the next morning. We're like, and that was just like her rhythm, like once or twice a week is like,
I think they
okay,
just, like, listen to their
they
bodies a
do.
lot better,
Yeah.
you
It was
know?
just very like, and so, yeah, for me, I have to like, took a nap this afternoon because I just got
Yeah.
lucky today with a lot of anxiety, which was awesome.
Oh
And,
god. I'm
it took me
sorry.
like 2 hours to even wind down to
Yeah.
try to go to sleep.
Because, yeah, you don't
Wait,
nap.
with
Mm,
medication and like putting on like some of those good sounds or whatever. It's like, I'm always have that motor. So I can relate to what you're saying of
yeah.
just like,
So, to go back to anxiety and trigger warnings, I wanna talk about the long, low whistle for a little bit here.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. That
So,
created
like
anxiety.
like I said, like, I posted about it today and, trigger warning page 10 through the end, for this book. Was that your intent? Like, you were like, "How can I?" Because, like I said, all I could think about, like, the most stressful, like, movie, book, anything that I think I've ever been through was the first time I watched Aliens, the Alien sequel. Between the face huggers and, like, the scene with the radar where they just see these aliens on the radar, but they can't
Oh,
actually see
yeah.
them around them, and I felt like I had never had that experience as an adult until I read this book. And I started sitting and I realized I didn't even notice it, but I got up and I was pacing my house reading this book. It stressed me out so much. And that is a good thing, everyone listening. It does its job very well. But were you like, no, I'm not going to let them breathe during this one? Was that your intent when you
Oh,
set out?
Not necessarily. I don't think I think in those terms. It's more just like I was following the pace of the story and trying to like it almost sounds like pretentious. Like it's like I'm trying to live it. Like not that, but it's like I'm trying to be as immersed in it as authentically as I can. And to me, the way that the plot was progressing, there wasn't a space for anyone to breathe.
Yeah.
There was like it was just like the rush, just everything that goes along with it. Yeah, once they kind of get going, they're not given that opportunity to.
Yeah. I think, like, by sheer what the fuck moments, I don't know if
mhm.
there's more. And and like I said, like, I didn't even read, like, the back. Like, I had an idea it took place in, mine, kind of thing. But, like, the more blind you go into this book, like, I don't wanna tell anyone what is happening because when you don't know and certain things happen, like, I was gasping, like, I would just was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like, I can't even begin to describe some of the things that are in this mind, like, it is brilliant, like, where did they come from?
Thank you. That's awesome. Yay.
Well, Adam said earlier, he's like, I always think she's my favorite author. And he's like, and then I read this and like, yep, yep, she's my favorite
Yeah.
author.
Oh,
And
that
I
is
think
wonderful.
there's a
That's
couple of moments
awesome.
like I was and the characters are too, I'm gagging. I realize I haven't taken a breath. Like this is when they talk about a book being a thrill ride, like I don't know how like I will hand them this every time. And I love the Killer VHS series. Like I adore the Candy Cane books. Love Cicada. Like Tanya Pell's amazing. And so, you have this reputation for the grief horror. And I think that that is very true. You do it amazingly well, but you also do creatures amazingly well. And I think that this is the best mixture of the two that anyone could come up with. And like, did you have this idea? Did they approach you to do a Killer VHS book? Did you pitch it to Shortwave? How did it come to be?
Yeah, so, I had worked with Alan on Obsolescence,
Yes.
and he asked me about whether I would want to do a novella for the Killer VHS. And I am one of these types that's like, I need to make sure that I have an idea that is going to fit because I hate disappointing people.
Mm,
And one of the things that I worry about the most as an author is like somebody asked me to write something on spec and then being deeply disappointed but feeling like I have to move forward with it,
yeah.
like I hate that. Like I don't ever want that to happen. So I was like, let me mull on it and see if I can come up with something that you like. And he came back to me and I was like, okay, this is my pitch. Like, because it was something, the video that's referenced in it is something that it was certainly not that exact experience, but I work for a law firm and I'm in Kentucky. So there are certain things that we have to deal with sometimes, disasters, things like that. Not
Yeah.
that we're like first responders or anything, but like you end up reading case files or things like this, things like this that happen. And it was this idea of something being on film,
Yeah.
something like that, and questioning like, would you want to see it?
Mm,
Sort of scenario. So yeah, it was that, and that idea had kind of been in my head, and I had wanted to, and then I'm trying to be very circumspect because I see what you're saying, and I don't want to give too much away on it. But is it revealing too much to say that there's some cryptid scenario going on?
well, I think like, I'm sure it says, the sort of second, you have your main character and then the secondary batch of characters are podcasters,
Hmm.
about cryptids,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I think that's fair enough.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So that was actually a cryptid that was referenced. I was at a Scarefest, and I went to go see there was a panel on like little known Kentucky cryptids or something. And I was
Oh,
like, this is kind of cool, and I kind of like made it my own, and because it was not one that I had ever heard of, and I thought it was very interesting, to include it and everything. But yeah, I sort of wanted to like weave all that in there because I also like I am happy with Below, like I really am happy with that book.
yeah.
I said exactly what I wanted to say during it, like,
Hmm.
but it is kind of funny because I was like, when I wrote Below, I was like, I'm gonna write just a straight up creature feature, and then I was like, no, it's gonna be drenched in feminist lore.
Yeah.
I'm just like incapable of doing anything else. So I was really trying with this one. I was like, no grief, no, I can't possibly say no feminism.
Yeah.
It's in every one of my pores. But
I love that. No grief. First 10 pages, grief.
oh my god, I know. It's just kind of like how like and so it's kind of funny because they like the cryptid hunters are named for my movie night crew.
That's cool.
So I made sure I was like, it's not them. Like they are not these people at all.
Yeah.
I just like use their names, but like Todd and Erica Kennard are Todd and Erica Kiesling.
No, okay.
And
About the cryptid, are you talking about the goblins or the other thing?
the other thing, the
Oh,
snake
okay.
is the
Fucking
Long
hell, that
Creek
thing.
moccasin.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Long
That
Creek
really
moccasin is what
upsets
it
me
is.
that that is something that is
Well, if it okay, so if it helps,
yeah,
like the actual like legend of this thing, like it made me so sad. Like basically the whole story of it was like it like lived in Long Creek. It's just like this big ass fucking snake.
yeah.
And like it was found because like there were these like fishermen and they caught this big catfish and it like tried to take the catfish and they like beat the shit out of it with their oars and it like swam away sadly. I
Oh
was like,
my
God,
god.
that's a terrible origin story.
Well,
So I was like, I'm gonna give it some tea.
you did. Man, I will be haunted by so many images from this book, I will tell you. But no, that's so funny when you say that, definitely, I wonder if I was one of those named people, if I would be like, "Oh, that's so cool," or if I'd be like, "Shit, you put them
Well,
through it."
Todd and I have a long history of kind of doing that stuff to each other. And
Okay.
we actually have he is including the name of those cryptid hunters in one of his books.
That's
So like
Hmm.
we're like kind of like he has his universe and I have mine, but we're kind of like bumping fists every so often.
yeah. Well, when you shout out another book in this book, any fellow Laurel Hightower fans, you're going to flip out as I did at a certain point in the book as well. I was just like, "No, she did not." Like, we're getting a straight up universe of these things here, so that was very cool. But yeah, I just, if when you talk about trigger warnings, it's like I don't even wanna say what they are, but, like, if you're afraid of anything in the entire world, just go into this book ready.
Anything
Small
in the entire world.
I'm telling you, if you have any claustrophobia, if you have
Well,
any, like, oh my god, it was like, I love The Descent, like, I love that movie so much, and, like, I think that that's another one where I'm like, the anxiety I felt watching that movie, like, this, takes that, and it's like, okay, so what if you had those things in The Descent, and then you had something much worse too? It's like, "Holy shit, how can this get worse?" And then when you really think it can't get any worse, then you add something else that makes it even worse again, and I'm just like so the one thing that the steam whistle, like the alarm whistle that, is the title of this book, is that a real thing? Like, that was used in mines, like, if something was happening?
Yes, yeah,
It
that was
sounds
sort of
terrifying.
it's an archaic kind of method of like notification or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that used to be how it was.
Yeah, and just, obviously this is the very first chapter of the book. Just that idea that it just rang out for days, basically. Like, how haunting, for a town that's, almost every family is being affected by this disaster. It's like, what a like traumatizing event on top of what's already happening to hear that.
Yeah, and it's interesting those like because I have and I think everybody is probably like this to an extent. Like you have these associations that certain sounds and certainly music will give you.
Mhm.
Like you can Lord help me, I'm 43. I am old. I'm crotchety. I have a kid. I watch a lot of Bluey. But like if like the Crow soundtrack comes on, I am 16 years old
Yeah.
driving my
Yeah.
86 Mazda 626 down backcountry roads in the fucking dark,
Yeah.
like emoing out. Like it's just so certain sounds like that. That's always like intriguing to me is how those can really like pull you in or bring you back or those sorts of things. And it's interesting because one of the things that I notice, when I'm watching a really effective horror movie or something is like, okay, ooh, there's this sound and it's really evoking a mystery or it's evoking a certain reaction. How do I utilize something like this on the page?
Ah,
How do
cool.
I suggest that? How do I like bring it out? And that's always a fun experiment.
Yeah. Well, that's very effective. I cannot wait for other people to read this so that I can revel in their trauma. And so I seriously cannot wait. So thank you for sending it one. And I just absolutely loved it. So
Oh, I'm so glad. Well,
yeah,
thank you for reading it. I appreciate
yeah.
it.
Well, I was like, I'll do my best to read it before we talk, and then I read it in like whatever 2 hours, an hour and a half this morning, and so it's like, and I said it's one of those things where it's like you almost have to take a break yourself, but then even when you do, you're like, I have to know it's like no, like I can't even take a break because I'm gonna be even more stressed until I find out what happens, in these scenarios. It's almost like a disaster movie or something like that where, or like a choose your own adventure where it's like, okay, how can I make things worse and worse and worse until it gets to a point where you're like, there is absolutely no way anyone's getting out of this. And I won't spoil whether or not they do, but you definitely feel that way where this hopelessness, but like still, these characters that you've created, especially your main character here, it just like she's looking for truth, she wants to know what's going on, and it's like there's nothing that can stop her from figuring it out. And I think about a lot of times, in movies and stuff like that when people get injured and they just keep going. The number of injuries that people fight through in this story, like, I'm just like, I think I would have sat down immediately and just said, "Nope, I'm done." Like, I can't go do it. So, yeah, it's so good. I wanna thank you for coming on here, and again, yes, we are gonna buy that book and would love to talk to you about that
Absolutely.
as well. The Long Low Whistle, November 4th, am I correct? Is that
I think so, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I believe
And I
that's the
will see
release
you
date
at
on it, yeah.
Vortex because 'cause you're coming to, a signing there for this book, so
Yes.
I'm excited for
Yeah.
that. That's
Oh,
where
that's
we
awesome. I'm so glad you're
yeah.
gonna come to that. That's great. Yeah, Bo Johnson, is coming down from Canada, so we're gonna do a joint
Oh, very
signing.
cool, and that's actually the first time we met was you were there with Red and Haley Piper
Yeah.
and the whole Fear of Clown guys. That was a huge, signing, so that was very cool.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So, that's very cool, and where can we find you? Do you have anything else coming up?
Yeah, so the other thing I have coming out is I am one of 4 authors in a novella collection, which is sort of a throwback to 4 by 4, which was, a book that had Brian Keene and oh my god, the other ones are escaping. They're all gonna be mad at me, that's okay. So we're sort of, revamping that. This one is me, Haley Piper, RJ Joseph, and Gemma Amore.
Oh, Gemma.
And that is coming out through Pandy Press. It's actually a subscription box.
Right.
It's in their November subscription box. And then
Oh,
the other book that's in that is one by Brian Keene, and then he's writing the intro to our collection. So that'll be a good one. I think it'd be cool if people grabbed it. But it's
Yeah,
Pandy Press, Pandi, Pandy
that's
Press.
very cool. Gemma is my, writing mentor, so just
That's it. She's
yeah.
lovely.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm reading Itch now, and that if you have that one, it is brilliant too. So,
Oh yeah. No,
yeah,
I love Gemma's
just the
work. She's
cover on that
great.
yeah.
gives me the freaking itch.
Is it too I think Brian has announced it, but you 2 are working on something together as well?
Yes. Yeah, we're doing a we're doing a novelization. It's I can't remember how much we've discussed about, except I get no, I think he posted like he posted the movie poster that it's from. So like if anyone
Okay.
did a reverse image search, but it's a movie called One Eyed Monster.
Well, he
Oh,
told me
It's
some things when I was in the store, and he's telling me some of the
yes.
conversation you
Yeah.
guys have had, and I'm just
Yeah.
it sounds like the most wonderfully over the top, horrifying thing, so
It's gonna be weird as shit.
love that.
So yeah, I think I'm not sure when exactly that's coming out. I believe the manuscript's due by the end of the year or so.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what's going on with that one. And then yeah, just the two. I guess they're both November releases on the other stuff. As far as where to find me, I'm mostly on Instagram these days, and I'm there, and I'm on Blue Sky. I still have a Twitter account, but I don't really check it much. Like occasionally, I go poke over because I have some friends who are like Twitter holdouts, and I don't want to leave
Yeah.
them behind. But
Mm,
yeah, for the most part, it's Instagram and Blue Sky.
okay. Awesome, well, this was an absolute pleasure, and
yeah, such a
thank
great
you so
time.
much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it
Oh
went
yes,
all
thank you all
the
for having me. This was
yeah.
great.
So, it went all the weird places I hoped it would, and more so, so thank you once again, and hope we can talk again soon.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to. Thank you both.
Awesome,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Bye.